everybody. Wow. This is terrifying. A few familiar faces. Hi, Jim. Thank you guys so much for coming out to check us out. My name is Michael Levine, and I'm a hairdresser. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my company just for a moment. My wife and I started our company in 1995. It was a 2-chair salon in Gastown on the 3rd floor of a really crappy building. You had to step over the sleeping, vomiting bum to get to our front door. It was a bit sketchy. And we made this thing happen and turned this into a company of 50 people, 3 salons, and 2 academies. We never hired a person with a clientele, ever. Everybody is somebody that we developed. It's a long, hard path, but it's the way we created our culture. At least I think we have some culture. My salons are called Space. I have 2 locations of Caramel, and I have 2 locations of the Vancouver Hairdressing Academy. We based our academy off of an apprenticeship program that we created over the first decade of our company, and that's how we grew our company. We hired an assistant, taught him how to do hair, gave him a chair, and hired another assistant. And my wife and I basically were the only kind of stable people for the first few years. And eventually it started to stick and things happened. We left Gastown, and now we have somewhat of a thriving business. And I don't know, I was debating opening the floor to some questions a little later, but if you can yell and we can hear you, we'll answer it for you. But for now, I'd like to introduce a couple of people who work with me every day. First, I'm going to introduce a guy named Devin Plamondon. So this is Devin. I'll just talk about him for a moment because it's cooler to have somebody else talk about you than you talk about yourself. Devin has been with us for about 7 years now. He came to us as an apprenticeship like everybody else, and he's now our education director. We develop talent from within and promote from within, and that's how we've we try to give everybody within our company a pathway to take their careers wherever they want. So Devin is now our education director. He is the 12 Canadian Hairstylist of the Year for Newcomer of the Year. And he's a fabulous hair cutter. He's a super fully booked hairdresser. He makes a great living. And we as a company we're hairdressers. We spend our time in the salon. We do a fair amount of editorial for ourselves, but we're salon hairdressers. So we really want you guys to understand that we're on this main stage, but we're no different than any other hair salon. We have the same issues that you guys have, and we're basically exactly like you. We'll talk maybe a little bit as we go on about how it is that we happen to be standing here. But yeah, Devin's a brilliant hairdresser. And by the way, he's just today announced as a semi-finalist for Canadian Hairstylist of the Year. And up next, I'm going to be bringing Alina Friesen to the stage. Thanks, Alina.
All right, that's good, Joe.
I'll try to pull a fast one. You go back to the middle one, darling.
Have a seat here, Taylor.
I was all trying to be a gentleman.
Have a seat, please.
Have a seat. Just drink that over. You can get this. Okay, this is Alina Friesen. Some of you guys may have heard the name. Alina came to us about 11 years ago now. She came to us as a 16-year-old. While in high school, she started our apprenticeship program. At around 21, we started pushing her into being our creative director. I believe she won her first Contessa for Newcomer of the Year at 20. She is the 2013 Canadian Hairstylist of the Year. The 2014 British Columbia Hairdresser of the Year. She is a 3-time NAHA finalist, 4 North American Hairdresser of the Year.
You're making me blush.
Keep blushing. I got more. Actually, I don't have more. That's kind of it. What else do you want? And so we're going to do a little bit of hair. We're going to talk a little bit about what we do as a brand, and that's about it.
Awesome. I'm gonna start off here with Taylor. She came to see me with, her hair was a lot longer than this, so I had to go in and cut it a little bit shorter, but I wanted to maintain the length. My inspiration for a lot of the looks today came from retro meets futurism. So a lot of the looks that you're going to be seeing are going to be inspired by the two combinations, which allows you to be able to create something a little more modern as well, but yet we're using those technical retro feel to the hair. So what we're doing here is I'm taking a triangular section. I parted her hair on the right here. So I'm taking a triangular section. I'm going to start twisting the hair. So if you want to turn your head this way so they can see what I'm doing. So I'm twisting the hair here. Now I'm going to have my lovely assistant Marina hold it for me. Now one thing I do want to mention here is now that I've twisted my triangular section, if you were to hold it out, this look is going to be a lot looser. Okay? If you were to hold it close, it's going to be a lot tighter and a lot more editorial. Okay? So Marina, I'm just going to have you hold that. I'm going to then go in and take vertical sections. Can you guys see that? Okay? Vertical sections. I'm going to go in and really brush this out, because if you can't get in between the hair, then you're causing knotting, and we really don't want that. Now what I'm going to be doing is just wrapping it around my twist. Okay?
Sounds cool. The stage layout is a little bit unique for you guys. So we're trying to play to both sides of the audience. It's a bit interesting. So what I would suggest you do is you kind of pay attention to the thing that appeals to you the most. What I'm going to be doing with my lovely model Gita is I'm going to be showing you guys sort of a variation on something we teach in our academy as one of our advanced classes, and it's something that it's a kind of a technique that I really dig. It's an undercut. A lot of people do undercut. In fact, Gita came to me with a little undercut where she was totally shaved across. For me, it's a little bit generic. What I like to do with undercuts is I actually like to section zigzags into them. What I often see people doing with an undercut, they do something flat right across underneath the horseshoe, yeah? And then they do all their texturizing later. If you do really cool zigzag sectionings, your texture is actually built in. You create little channels for the hair to move. Gita's got lovely curly hair, so it's going to give that curl a little bit of space to develop. Sometimes that bulky, frizzy hair just needs a little bit of room to breathe, you know what I mean? So this is going to build that in. We're going to undercut everything square. Anything that's pinned up is not getting cut. We're going to then drop it and then just kind of carve it in visually. I'm a big believer. I think hairdressers worry too much about sectioning, and they forget that their eyes, they forget to step back from things and get in there like an artist. It's something that I feel really strongly about. Do your technical first, and then step back and forget about your sectionings and say, does it look pretty? Does it look cool? Is it achieving what I want to achieve? Then one other thing about undercutting before I pass this on to Devin. A lot of people, when they undercut, they cut straight out, which gives you a wide point at the top of the undercut. You've really got to make sure that you curve it in, or else the hair can kind of get bulky on the top and sort of stick out before it drops. You guys know what I'm saying? So kind of wrap it in and cut to the round of the head, as opposed to just a straight line, which then leaves you length at the top of your section. Cool? Devin.
All right, so over here, this is my model Amanda, and I'm going to be doing a razor undercut bob. And I'm basically going to I've pre-sectioned out this nape area. I've taken it a little higher. I'm going to work with the head shape, so it's going to give it a bit of a graduated feel. And I'm going to explain my sectioning a little bit later. We've also done a really great color on Amanda, which you can't really see quite yet, but you'll see that later. And I think I'm just going to get right into this.
Cool. I love her makeup so much. Maybe let me just briefly talk about our color palette. We wanted to do some kind of cool tones, some grays, soft pastels, really lived in hair. That was our goal today. I feel like I'm favoring this side, so I'm going to turn this way now. Yeah, just some lived-in color, nothing really fresh. I find punchy color can sometimes look a little vulgar. Sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know? So we dialed it down a little bit here today. Now Alina has a lot of catching up because that girl works fast. Where are you at, Alina?
So each vertical section I took, I went and twisted it around my section while my assistant was holding that one section. And as you can see, it kind of creates this really awesome 40s vibe updo going on. One thing that I am going to do after this look is over is actually go in and pull it apart. So you'll be able to take it from something that your clients can walk away out of the salon to right in front of the camera, basically. So I'll take you through the steps of that. So this side is done. So I'm going to move over to the other side and do the same thing, basically taking a triangular section from her parting. Do my twist. Now you can definitely do this on your own as well, so you don't actually need an assistant to be able to do this technique. But this is something that I actually saw a lot of in the Dolce & Gabbana ad, where they did a lot of these low ponytails, and I've noticed a lot of clients have been coming in and wanting that. So same technique here, twist back. Let's make sure they're both even on both sides. Go in, take a vertical section, really comb it out.
You know, Alina said something that actually really rings for me because our culture is built on assistants. We spend a ton of our energy on the youth culture within our brand. And so Alina's like, you don't really need an assistant. First of all, it's cool if you have one, and just use one if you have one because it looks cool. Clients dig it. It makes it seem a bit more special. But also it's about, Marina's going to walk away from here going, yeah, I can do this. She just totally taught me how to do hair. Taught me how to do this hair. And it's a really cool thing about sharing. There's a lot of hairdressers that'll be like, don't watch me. We're all about watching.
I like when people watch me.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about razor cutting. I think a lot of people maybe misunderstand, or not misunderstand, but maybe don't have enough experience with using a razor. For me, one of my kind of non-negotiables is I've always got to use a fresh, clean, sharp blade, and the hair always has to be wet. If the hair is dry, I feel like I'm kind of pulling the hair apart instead of cutting it. So having a little bit of lubrication in the hair helps the blade glide through, and it allows me to really get involved and kind of feel and see how the hair is responding. And you can see I've really opened up this side for these guys over here. I've really opened up this side of Amanda's hair. It's really soft, really textured. I'm going to leave this little surprise behind the ear. And I'm going to continue on to the other side.
I want you guys to actually, if you're not familiar with, if you're not familiar with working with a feather plie, Devin's working with a feather plie today. It's a fold-out razor. It's more of a classic style. If you're used to using a stick razor, you can absolutely achieve these things, but I would highly recommend, if they're really hard to find in Canada, get online, Google feather plie, and get yourself one. The weight of it, the balance, you're going to totally cut yourself. You will be hospitalized. But, I don't use one anymore.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
But it's an amazing tool once you develop mastery of it. You guys have probably seen, Devin's using a red one, so that's an Erojo blade. But they're all the same, the black ones, the red ones, the bumblewood ones. They're all kind of the same, but they're brilliant tools, and they allow you to get really right in there. Where are you at, Alina?
So I finished both my sections. I'm going to take my sections and actually twist them. Okay. I want this to look almost undone, but not so perfect. Clients don't really want it to be super slick back. At least my clients don't. I think we're seeing a lot of that right now anyway. So then I'm just tucking it.
I totally forgot to mention, Alina, by the way, is also a finalist for Canadian Hairstylist of the Year. Thank you, Salon Magazine. That just came out today. She's also up for Colorist of the Year. We actually have 6 or 7 semifinalists that just came out this morning. I myself don't take those chances because that's like real talent and I don't have it. So I've actually become a photographer and I shot 4 collections for Contessa this year and all 4 are semifinalists. So we're up for Salon Team of the Year and our Academy is also up for Salon Team of the Year, which is pretty cool. And Steph, by the way, one other thing, Steph who did our colors today, she did all of our colors, she's up for colors for the year as well.
So whenever I'm pinning the hair, I go against the grain. Basically, if her hair is falling this way, I'm going to pin this way. You guys get that on the slide? So basically, the hair is falling this way, I pin this way. So it's almost like that. And that really keeps the hair in. For a lot of the times when I do a lot of my shoots, I actually tend to